Let's find out who wins the Bucks-Pacers series from here and in how many games, and why Milwaukee are a real threat to beat the Knicks and the Celtics. Even without Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks still managed to pull off their most impressive win of the season, led by Damian Lillard, who broke franchise records and showed the Bucks why they did not make a mistake trading for him. The Pacers definitely look like a team that's never been to a postseason before, as Tyrese Halliburton had a very uncharacteristic game. He was outplayed on both sides of the ball by Patrick Beverley, who matched his rebounds and assists while only scoring 4 less points. Milwaukee was even able to force him into turnovers, which is something we aren't accustomed to seeing from Halliburton. In the regular season, Tyrese Halliburton made history, recording 32 straight assists with 0 turnovers over a 2-game span, which broke an NBA record held by Magic Johnson. But in Game 1, he looked far from the Halliburton we're used to seeing. Even a guy who's been to the postseason before in Miles Turner was also struggling, ending the night with 17 points on 17 shots. The only Pacer who had it going though was the former champion Pascal Siakam, who ended the night with 36 points, 13 rebounds, a steal and 2 blocks on 60% shooting. However, the truth is performances like this won't happen again once Giannis is back in the series, as he would likely guard him. Over the course of his career, Siakam has matched up on Giannis 18 times. And during those 18 games, he was only able to put up 16 points, which again won't be enough to lead the Pacers past the Bucks if Halliburton continues to play this poorly. For the Pacers to get back into the series, it is pretty simple. They're going to need better games from their best players, as Halliburton needs to be more careful with the ball in hand, and look to be more assertive trying to score the ball also, as 9 points on only 7 shot attempts just isn't good enough. Coming into the series, Indiana thought they were going to be able to get away with running their fast-paced offense in the playoffs. However, the Bucks' transition defense absolutely shut them down in Game 1, only getting out on the fast break a handful of times. Trading for Patrick Beverley at the deadline was probably the most underrated move we saw, as it's made Milwaukee's defense very similar to how good they were in 2021, where they went on to win the championship. Holding the best offense in the league to only 94 points is astounding and terrifying all at the same time. But as good as the defense was, there's one player who stole the spotlight. In Game 1, it was Lillard who dominated, proving the naysayers wrong, as Damian Lillard's 35 first-half points set a Bucks franchise record for the most points scored in the first half ever in a playoff game. Lillard made Doc Rivers look like a genius, as from the jump he was unstoppable, scoring inside and outside, cooking any Pacers defender that attempted to guard him. The level of shot making from Dame was absolutely incredible, bearing heavily contested 3-point jumpers, finishing around the basket, while being guarded by one of the best rim protectors in Miles Turner. However, after the first half brilliance, he didn't manage to record a single point in the second half. At first glance, you might think he cooled off. However, that was partially the case, but you're missing the bigger picture. In the second half, Lillard was able to get off the ball more and allow Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis to get into rhythm also. Middleton in particular looked like his prime self, finishing with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists on 64% shooting. If Chris Middleton is able to give them at least 20 points a night, Milwaukee could virtually beat anybody, as if the big three are combining for nearly 80 points a night, show me a team that's going to beat them, especially if the defense is still at an elite level. And later, I'll show you some teams that have a chance to stop them. There are discussions around Giannis potentially playing in Game 2, but after how good Game 1 was, do you really even need to play him in Game 2? Personally, if he's ready to go, you just play him. As last season, Milwaukee thought they could get away with resting him in Game 3, which led to a Miami Heat win, and not only that, but it allowed all the role players to get into the series, as once he returned, it was all over. If Giannis doesn't play again, it's not because they're resting him, it's because he's just not ready yet. To visualize what the series will look like with Giannis back in the lineup is scary for the Pacers, as he averaged over 40 points a game against them in the regular season. Sure, the Bucks came up short-handed, only winning 1 out of a possible 5 games, but this is before Milwaukee changed coaches, which resulted in them having a much improved defense. It's clear that the Pacers were shocked by not only the spotlight of a playoff game, but the significant improvement that the Bucks have made to their defense, as they weren't able to get the outlet passes that they were getting away with in the regular season. Depending on how good the Greek Freak looks when he returns will depend on how many games it will take the Bucks to win the series. If he's 80%, give me the Bucks in 6, and if he's at 90%, I'll take the Bucks in 5. But if they end up winning Game 2 without him, I'm getting the brooms out, Bucks in 4. If Milwaukee can win 3 more games, they will be well on their way to making it to another NBA Finals, as long as they stay healthy. In the second round, they will play the winner of the Philadelphia 76ers and New York Knicks series. With Joel Embiid's knee injury, it's likely going to be the Knicks who are going to come out on top of this series. Jalen Brunson is a top 3 point guard in the NBA, and a serious threat to not only beat the Bucks, but the Celtics too. In a matchup with the Knicks, Patrick Beverley would likely get the defensive assignment, and would have to play smart defense without getting into foul trouble, as the defense at the guard position is a soft spot for this Bucks roster. However, Patrick Beverley, as we know, is one of the best perimeter defensive players in the league and should be able to stop Brunson from having his 40-plus point explosions. What has really impressed me about the Knicks post-Julius Randle injury has been how good the role players have been playing. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Bojan Bogdanovic have been the driving force for the Knicks winning these games and stealing the 2 seed from Milwaukee. DiVincenzo is averaging 15 points a night, shooting over 40% from 3, while in the last month of the regular season, Josh Hart played over 40 minutes a night, putting up 12 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.2 steals a game, filling in for Julius Randle as best as he possibly could. In Game 1 versus the Sixers, Hart made 2 clutch 3-pointers to ice the game, while putting up 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists on 41% shooting. This level of contribution not only matches what Randle could have given them, but maybe even improves upon it. Then Bogdanovic off the bench has given the Knicks a 20-plus points per game scorer, who can space the floor and take big shots while Brunson is on the bench and can even close games for you. A playoff series between the Knicks and the Bucks would be a hard-fought series between 2 ferocious defenses competing against one another. The separating factor though is going to be Milwaukee's big 3, as if they're giving them 70 to 80 points a night along with the higher level defense, this could really be a shorter series, as I think the Bucks will win in 6. Then moving on to a potential conference finals matchup with the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee actually stands more of a chance than you might think. In the regular season, Boston and Milwaukee split, as the home side won each game. In the 2 games that were in Boston, they were eerily similar, as Boston won by 3 points both times. But also in both of these games, the Celtics pushed the lead out to beyond 20, but the Bucks came right back into it to make it a contest late, showing the Celtics they aren't scared of them. And one of these games didn't have Giannis. Then a similar occurrence in the 2 games in Milwaukee, as the Bucks had 2 statement wins, beating Boston by double digits both times. It was clear in these matchups that Milwaukee were able to attack Kristaps Porzingis one-on-one when he was in the paint, as he's simply not strong enough to stop Giannis with a full head of steam or even Dame coming downhill. Jason Tatum underperformed in each game in Milwaukee, only managing to put up 7 points in the first game and 22 in the second matchup. The Celtics are going to need a lot more out of Jason Tatum if the Bucks and the Celtics make it to the conference finals. This is a series I'd personally love to see, as honestly it could really go either way if the Bucks are playing well. For me, I believe in 2022 the Bucks would have won the series if Chris Middleton was healthy, and this season I believe it's going to be the same story. The Bucks will win the series in 7 games if they're fully healthy, but if not, the Celtics win in 7. Are the Milwaukee Bucks a legitimate threat to come out of the Eastern Conference and win a championship? Let me know in the comments below.